let's invite the local tribe to hang out and let's get to know our neighbors. Let's have America's first block party. No, nigga, no. And the coldest part about it, here's the dopest part, because for some reason we go with a completely opposite version of what happened. The real reason that the Native Americans were even at the first Thanksgiving the reason that they brought 90 men with all their weapons and all their gear and not their wives and not their children was because they thought it was a war. They thought the Pilgrims were shooting at people, attacking them. They didn't think they was just a bunch of drunk white people setting shit off. Nah, they thought they were under attack. So they like, look, if anything happened, y'all all the way down here on this beach, if anything happened, this is what I need you to do. Shoot off a couple guns, yell hootie hoo. They heard the hootie hoo and they came running. But the dopest part, I don't know why we don't go with this version. The dopest fucking part is that after realizing that the Pilgrims weren't under attack, after realizing that there was no danger, after realizing that y'all got a lot of good beer over here, they just decided to stay. How cold is that? Like they bust in the door like, who want it? Who want it? Y'all got Corona? You know what I'm saying? That's what it turned into. And somehow it turned into a 3-day feast where they went out hunting together. They went out fishing together. Somehow they didn't go back and get their wives and children, but, you gotta do what you gotta do. I need a little time away. You know what I'm saying? That had to be awkward, though. Right? Like, you at the crib with your wife. You hear a bunch of gunshots going off. You like, yo, babe, I gotta go. I gotta go protect these white people. You know what I'm saying? You and the homies roll over there. Turns out it's a party. You stay for 3 days. And you get back home and Pocahontas like, why you smell like white people? Why you smell like roasted meat and white people? That's been said to me before, actually. A decade before the Mayflower even came to America, Squanto and a group of other Native Americans was on a boat doing some trading with a man named Thomas Hunt. Now, as a sneaky white person, he decided to do what all sneaky white people did at that time. He not only kidnapped Squanto, he sold him. So after he was tricked, kidnapped, sold into slavery, he ended up with a man named Sir Fernando Gorges, the futuristic colonizer himself. And the reason I call him that because he would kidnap brown people, teach them how to speak English, and then send them back in the world to tell everybody how nice white people are. Now that's some unscrupulous shit. Being kidnapped by that white dude was probably the best thing that ever happened to him. Because from the time that he left, there was a plague that happened. And it killed up to 90% of the population. Now, see, that gets a little shaky because history's not really sure what caused it. Like, it could have been the yellow fever. It could have been the plague. It could have been COVID. It was 19. It was 16, 19. It could have been. Who the fuck knows? But most likely it was probably smallpox, right? And it killed up to 90% of the people there. That's tens of thousands of people that it just took out, just wiped out. And those diseases came with the rats from the ships. It came from the people. It came from not having that herd immunity. Like, it was rough. It knocked them out. Within 3 years, it knocked out tens of thousands of people. Almost an entire tribe was gone because of a goddamn flu. I think I read somewhere they called it like Indian flu or some shit like that, which is crazy racist. That's like the wildest shit you could say something. But when the Pilgrims got there, right, they got there a year and a half after this epidemic. They get there, they find this small village with food tucked away and weapons tucked away and blankets and shit like that, and they just thought it was from God. They thought like God ordained this to happen. He killed all these people because he knew we were coming, and he set this up for us. You that shit? Black Jesus. I can't. I know, right? Just that's wild. That's wild. That's wild. Like, when have you ever known white people to pay for some shit that they found for free? The fuck? Who y'all gonna pay? There was nobody there to pay for it. Y'all rolled up on the beach. Y'all was on that motherfucker freezing. And y'all like, yo, we just gonna go over here and steal they shit. That's what the fuck happened. So one day a man walks into their town, right? And he like, what up, folk? Like, he speaks English. He's like, yo, what's up? Can I get a beer? Like, legit, my man was like, hello, English, let me get a beer. Some say it's Squanto. Some say it's Massasoit. Some say it's Samoset. Most likely, what I found, what I looked up, it was Samoset. And he was a fisherman from one of the local tribes, right? And they tell you, if you even know about Samoset, they tell you that he learned how to speak English through his travels with, he would go out on these fishing trips and see white people fishing, and then he would learn how to communicate through fishing, through that experience. No, that's not how it happened. Samoset learned English from Sir Fernando Gorges. He was also kidnapped, also took to England, also taught English, also sent back to America to spread the word. Bruh, that's some unscrupulous shit. That's some futuristic colonizing shit, man. So Samoset rose into the village like, yo, what's up, white people? Let me get a beer. So they like, keep in mind, they on edge. They still got dead people up against trees. They still like this. They still got dead motherfuckers up against trees, right? So they like, oh shit, you speak English? Man, we was gonna tighten you up, man. You know what I'm saying? So Samoset goes to tell him like, look, I'm cool, okay? My tribe's cool. The tribe over there is cool, but they ain't cool. They ain't cool. They ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? You need to watch who you kind of rocking with over here. And they like, whoa. Who ain't cool? You mean over there? Or you mean over there? Because I seen the dude from over there. He looked like the dude from over there. Like, I don't know. And Samoset was like, what's up, English? Let me get a bit. Like, he only knew like 8 phrases. So it wasn't working out. So what he does, he's like, okay, I'll be right back. He goes to get Squanto. Squanto speaks English perfectly. Squanto, now we're caught up. So now Squanto is teaching them how to fish. Squanto is teaching them how to use that fish as fertilizer to grow your corn. He's teaching them how to grow squash. They ain't never had squash before. He's teaching them how to pretty much survive, saving their entire, not only their lives, their kids' lives, generationally, hooking them up, right? And in this process of hooking these white people up, he also connects them with Usamiquin, or Massasoit, or the chief of the land that they're on, right? The Wampanoag had the most land in Massachusetts. The Mohegans, the Algonquin, all of those, the Wampanoag had all the land. But because of that plague from 1616 to 1619, most of their people got wiped out. So all they had was land and enemies everywhere. Now, once again, the Native Americans are familiar with white people. They know the risk, they know the reward. The chief is like, okay, y'all need to survive on my land. I got ops all around my land. Y'all got guns. I got maps. Squanto. You know what I'm saying? Tell him what I need. Hit him with a little Flight of the Bumblebee. So Squanto hooks up this connection, and they pretty much come with this alliance. Like, okay, me and my people are going to teach you how to fish. We're going to teach you how to hunt. We're going to teach you where to hunt. We're going to teach you what's safe. We're going to put you on game. We're going to give you all the knowledge you need to get your little colony here so y'all can do y'all thing. Because the chief knew that he couldn't stop white people from coming, right? He couldn't, he didn't even think that he could defeat the white people when they got there, but he could at least use them. Look, they were dying off at such rates that they would take their dead people, put them up against trees, and put their muskets in their hands because they didn't want the Native Americans to come and attack because they see their numbers were that low. Like, they were almost out of there. They were gone. They didn't even bury their dead. That's how rough it got. It got so rough, they didn't bury their dead. They put them up against trees with guns in their hands so it looked like they was on patrol. That's what they used to do. That's what the fuck they did. That's how rough it was getting, right? So as they're in the midst of just almost checking out, they're dying 2 a day, 3 a day, right? And they're keeping journals the whole time. So William Bradford, the governor of Plymouth, he writes in his journal that the Lord has decided to take us 2 and 3 at a time. Like, no, nigga, y'all ain't supposed to be here. That's what's happening. Y'all ain't supposed to be here. See the signs. But they barely make it through that first winter. Half of them are sleeping on the Mayflower still because they can't find good shelter. The other half are taking daily walks and daily treks trying to find food or animals or people or anything. Okay, now you gotta keep this in mind, right? This is why I'm honestly surprised that there isn't an adaptation or a movie or something to this, because think about it like this. There's a little boy in a village who gets kidnapped by evil white people, taken to a place he's never been before, taught and forced to speak a language that he's never spoken before, learns the language, perfects the language, gets sent back to his home, only to find his home gone. Everybody he's ever known is gone, dead from plague. Some of them are still laying there, right? So now he gets back to his home to see everybody he's known dead, and now it's taken over by people who look like the people that took him in the first place away from his home. Right? That's where Squanto's at, right? That's the mindset that Squanto's in. So now he's literally the only connection between these white people and this powerful chief. In order for them to do anything, they got to go through Squanto, right? So Chief's giving orders to Squanto, Squanto's giving it to the white people. White people's giving orders to Squanto, Squanto's giving orders to the chief. While this is happening, Squanto is becoming more and more powerful. Like, he got like the nickname. I'm gonna give him the nickname. They used to call him the White Dude Whisperer. This is a fact. I seen it in the book. I don't know what book, but they called him the White Dude Whisperer because he was the only one that spoke the language. So if he needed, okay, say you got a bunch of beaver pelts, right? And you want to take your beaver pelts and you want to sell them to a dude in a neighboring tribe. But as you go get your beaver pelts, it might be a little dangerous along that path, right? So you got the idea like, okay, I gotta go get these pelts, you know what I'm saying? What if, so you go to Squanto like, okay, listen, what if you get a couple of your white friends to just come with me to go get these beaver pelts? I'll give you a little something on the side, you know. I'll give them a little something. and I still get a chief, what he's supposed to get, and ain't nobody gotta know. Ain't nobody gotta know. Who gonna tell? I ain't gonna tell on myself. That's the situation. So Squanto was doing all sorts of side deals. Give me 5 of them things. I'll let the white dudes take you up there. Shit, you having a party? I heard you having a powwow. You gonna need some security, right? Look, I know a couple of white dudes. Throw your boy a couple wampum. You know what I'm saying? That's what they use, wampum. Throw your boy some wampum. Shit, I had the white homies guard you. And he was making a killing. So when the white people found out he was called the White Dude Whisperer, they was like, don't nobody control our earth. You know what I'm saying? They weren't having that shit. And then when the chief, he didn't care that Squanto was called the White Dude Whisperer. He didn't care. But when the chief found out that he was also getting money while being called the White Dude Whisperer, like you walking around with wampum chains on, you know what I'm saying? You got all sorts of feathers, and the chief like, where you get that from? How you get all that? You like, oh, I don't know. Squanto like, oh, just a little something. Just a little something, He got a sundial on his watch, and just a little, something like, something in the ears. So the chief found out he was getting money. White people found out he was known as a White Dude Whisperer. And history doesn't say what happened, but he literally was gone from existence after that first Thanksgiving. They didn't murder him, but he got sick and just died. He got sick and just died after that 1621 Thanksgiving. Wild. And I don't know why we just don't go with this version of the story. The best part about it is the fact that when you look at somebody telling you the story of how the Native Americans got to the first Thanksgiving, right? It's always like, the Pilgrims invited Massasoit, and he brought 90 of his men. Or some shit like, the Pilgrims decided to invite some of the local Native Americans. Like it's always like the Pilgrims decided to invite the Native Americans. They had so much food, and they were just doing so well in life. Like, you know what? Go get them half-naked brown people up the street and just, have them come on over. Nah, nigga. That's not what happened. About 6 months before the actual first Thanksgiving, the Native Americans and the Pilgrims had an agreement. The agreement was, we'll teach you how to hunt on our land, we'll teach you how to fish, we'll teach you how to farm. In exchange for those 3 things, we need to use some of your guns. Just a couple guns. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got enough guns. We just need to use about 4 or 5 guns, every once in a while. And it worked out. They had a good ass agreement. The agreement worked out. So around the time that they had, so the first Thanksgiving was actually the second winter in America. The first one was awful. Like, it was about 109 people on the ship. After that first winter, it was like 47 people left. 47 of them left out of 100 and plus people. So when the second one came around, they finally had enough food and they finally had enough to feast. They feast. Like, they got down. They was not bullshitting. And like all good cookouts in America, there's some drinks, man. They were drinking, partying, eating. It sounds like Thanksgiving, right? Now, what's one thing that a good American party is missing once you get the liquor? I'm pretty sure somebody had a lute, right? Somebody had some sort of music. But once you get good food, and you surrounded by good people, and you got good liquor, you on a beach. Next thing you know, you shooting your guns off. Like that's what the Pilgrims did. As a celebration, they would have target practice. They would just start shooting their guns. Like any good hot-blooded drunk American, just shooting your guns off. So as they're partying, as they're just embracing a great harvest, all the hard work, it had to be difficult as shit. It had to be hard as shit. So they turning up. We've been waiting all year for this harvest. We about to have a good time. We drinking, we shooting our guns off. And as they're doing that, that's what brought the Native Americans. Not the invite, not the smoke signals, not the smell of food. The Native Americans came because they thought the Pilgrims that they had an agreement with were under attack. They thought they was getting the drop. They thought, that's why they rolled up with 90 men. People get it confused. People get it confused because they look like the Amish people, right? They look like just horse and buggy and they just pray all day and none of that shit. No, bro, they were not. Think about people who pull up on boats, get out and start murdering things, kidnapping people, raping people, plundering, looting, setting fires, forcing their religion, sacrificing, praying. Who does that sound like? Does that sound like some Viking shit? The chief of the tribe that saved their lives 10 years before. They captured him, tortured him, cut off his arm, his other arm, his leg, his other leg. Then they cut off his head. Then they sent those pieces to neighboring tribes and then took my man's head, put it on the stake, and left that shit there in the center of town. Does that sound like Amish people, bro? Does that sound like fucking motherfuckers who churn butter? Nothing about that statement says they churn butter. Columbus discovered America in 1492, so they were very familiar with white people at this time. They knew the dangers, the risks, and the reward of dealing with white people. So when they got there, the Native Americans would just watch them die off one at a time. One at a time. Because the trip from England to America, you're supposed to take that trip in the spring. They left in the fall. So when they got there, it's November, it's freezing, you're on the East Coast. They spent that whole first winter on the ship. And they were dying. 1 a day, 2 a day, freezing to death, starving to death. And the Native Americans are just watching, just waiting them out. Just waiting them out. And then finally they found that town. They found, what was it? Patuxent. They found Patuxent and they like, oh, there's food here. There's shelter here. There's a source of fresh water. God made this happen for us. God sent us through these trials and tribulations, and now finally we have this place of our own that we'll call Plymouth. No, nigga, it already had a name. It already had a people. Like, it already had memories. But those people died. That epidemic wiped their ass out. They were still there. There were people still there holding weapons and holding items that they wanted to take with them. You know what I'm saying? In the next life. Man, Pilgrims rolled up, pride. You gotta pride for my dead body. They pride that shit. We need all of that. We need that corn. We need that wheat. We need all of that shit. Run it. This is our house now.
And you got yourself the first Thanksgiving dinner. It was a celebration that lasted for 3 days. A harvest festival with sport, games, and friends, like so many others around the world. Days of Thanksgiving. Thankful that there will be enough food to eat, and another year survived. Sure, the new land wasn't perfect. It wasn't harmony between man and beast, or a permanent peace between settler and native. But for a time, people set aside their differences and gave their thanks for a chance at life. And many other harvest festivals appear around the world today for just the same thing. And that's the story of the first Thanksgiving.